Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to Alto Bitesize. It's been a little bit of a break. We had a nice little summer break, but we're back today with a really exciting one of some sort of daily accounting successes and some good tips and tricks. I am really excited to say today I am joined by Phil, who's one of our senior pre-sales consultant and an absolute whiz on the account side of things in Alto. And so it's just me and him today, but we've also got the lovely Lisa backstage who is going to be picking up any questions like you normally have that you can put in the chat, and she'll be there to monitor them and answer them as they come through. So today's agenda, we're going to crack straight into this today, is we're going to go over Phil's going to go over sort of a few bits that he thinks is best practices, some good tips and tricks and everything within the accounts. But we're looking at things like the daily accounting cycles, we're key reporting, unlocking automation, get my words out, and obviously just daily flows. And if we get the opportunity, we will be able to answer any questions at the end. But like I said, we do have Lisa backstage who is there to assist with your questions. So let's get cracking. So if you're ready, Phil, I can give the screen over to you and you can share your screen and get on with your demo.
Of course, yeah. Morning, everyone. I'm just going to take you through some very basic accounting cycles, best practice within Alto. Let me share my screen. That should hopefully be sharing now. And then we'll go through some other things. So I might take you through sort of the ledgers, how to look at the ledgers and understand them. Some options for your tenancy charges, landlord payment groups, and then some reporting, things like that. So we'll see how much we can get through in the webinar. But can you see my screen, Madeline?
I can see your
You
screen.
can. Okay, brilliant. So yeah, best practice on Alto. So the best practice for the accounting cycle on Alto will be to receipt into Alto. And then reconcile the bank account. So that's effectively going to make sure that what you're adding into Alto is correct, so that when you then make your payments, you know that your payments going out of Alto are correct. So we have the property management dashboard, and we have the batch receipts. So this is a good way of batch receipting in multiple receipts in the morning, but we do have the option to import your bank statement into Alto, which can really streamline this process. And I'll show you that in a second. But if I just go through the batch receipts screen quickly, you do have a search bar. So if you have a lot of outstanding charges and you want to find the relevant people quickly, you can search in that search bar for a name or a property address or an amount. We can click the send receipts button. So if you want Alto to automatically send your tenants that receipt documentation when you put your receipts into the system, you can tick that box and it will automatically send them. If you want to view the information about what's outstanding, you can click into these boxes and you can see the individual charges that are outstanding on those. But if we're coming in and we're receipting, we could say we've had some money from Tilly, for example. I can search for Tilly. She's got £200 outstanding. If I'm happy that I've received that, I can tick that box, and you'll see that the receipt amount is £200 that Alto is adding into there. So clear the search bar, you can see that Tilly stays selected, and then we'd just go through and we'd add our receipts into here, tick the boxes to say that we've received them. And if we do have a partial receipt, you can add that amount into this part of the system as well. And we can see it's a partial receipt of £500. Alto will always allocate the money to the oldest charges first. So if you do need to allocate to a different charge, what you can do is you can click into there. We can say we've got £500 and you can change the allocation manually if you want to. But if we're happy with that, what we do is we click batch receipts. That's obviously going to receipt the money into the relevant tenancies. And then what we can do then is we can go and we can reconcile those receipts. So on your accounts tab, we would go to bank reconciliation. We click onto the client account that we've just receipted that money into. And again, we've got the search bar, which is really handy. So you can search for the name of the person you've just receipted into or the amount that you've just receipted in. And then you tick off those receipts to say, yes, what we've added into Alto is correct with our bank account, so that we know that when we make the payments from Alto, they're going to be the correct amounts that we're paying out. So once you've ticked off those receipts on your reconciliation, we can go to payments. Now, obviously, receipting money into Alto then shows you that you have landlords to pay, suppliers to pay, fees to pay, depending on the allocation of that money that you've receipted in. So we can click into landlords to pay, and again, it's going to show you all of those landlords that are available to pay. There's a little spanner symbol. So if that landlord has an outstanding works order on the property, it's going to warn you because you may not want to pay that landlord that money if the supplier invoice is due in the next few days. But if we're happy with these payments, we can tick them off. And we can click Pay Landlords. That will automatically generate statements and send those out. But if we do want to have a better look at these payments before we update them, we can click into that line. We can select the payment group that's showing on that payment screen. So we can see the payment group that payment's being made from, and I've selected that there. And we can click into these to see a bit more information about what those receipts and charges are for. If you do need to preview the statement, you can do, and then from that preview screen, you can also print the statement before you send it. Again, you've got the search bar, and you can filter these rows. So by clicking these, it will sort the rows into order of those rows. Suppliers to pay, again, very similar. So if we click into this, it's going to show us all the suppliers that we have available to pay. We can select the bank account. So if you have multiple client accounts, you can select just the individual one that you want to make payments out of. We can select the different types of payment types that the suppliers pay from. So if you're using internet banking, so if you're manually making each individual payment at the moment, you do have the option of using BACS payments on Alto, which allows you to create a payment file, and then you can upload that to your bank to make your payments for you. But I'll show you that again in a second. Include part payments, and if you have payment terms with your suppliers, you can tick those both on. But again, if we want to have a view of what these payments are going to be, we can click into the supplier. We can have a look at the payments that are due, and you can see that we've got a full payment of £50. So the amount due is there, the available is how much money your landlord has available, and then the allocated amount. And you can see it hasn't selected the part payment because I haven't got that part payment selected up there. So we're only going to pay that full payment of £50 to that supplier. Again, you would just tick the suppliers that you want to pay those suppliers. That's automatically going to generate those remittances and either send them or set them to print depending on the account document selection on your supplier records. But if you just want to make an individual payment, or if it's a one-off payment that you're making to a landlord or a supplier and you need to change some details on the statements, you do also have the option of clicking actions and payment on your contact records. So if I go to actions and payment on this landlord, select the payment group that payment was for, we can see we've got the same screen up. We're just doing it for this individual landlord rather than doing it as a batch payment. So I might want to add a statement remark to this payment. So in the options menu, what I have is the option to add a statement remark in there, and that statement remark may be you're retaining additional money because there's a supplier expense coming up or something along those lines, but you can add a statement remark in there. If I go back to payments, now on this landlord I have a full retention, so I retain all of the money on this landlord's account. But if I want to adjust that just for this statement, I can do. So if I wanted to only retain £500 from this payment, I can select that £500, and then that's going to show us £220 to pay to that landlord. Now the retention is set up in the payment groups. So if I go to contact, if you're not familiar with the payment groups, what these are effectively different pots of money for your landlord's account. So you can see here, I have an 8 on this payment group and a 1 on this payment group. And what that means is I've got 8 properties within this payment group. And what that means is all of the income and expenditure from these 8 properties are contained within this payment group. And within that payment group, I've got settings. So if I click on the little settings cog, I can create this as my default payment group. I can choose to show the tenancy arrears or not. I can show a negative balance as due. So what that would mean is if it's a negative statement, it will change the wording of the statement to show a balance due rather than a payment of a negative amount. And this is where that retention target is set. So you can set a retention target for your landlords per payment group. We've got a payment method. So again, we've got internet, which is that manual payments, but we also have the BACS payment system, which we have. And then we can choose the supplier statement and also the supplier invoices, sorry. So you can tick this to attach supplier invoices. So if you're attaching supplier invoices to your charges that you're adding to the properties, Alto will just automatically generate the statement and attach those invoices to those as well. So you have full functionality of how your landlords want to receive their statements and manage their money within the account. If we go to this one, we've just got the single property, so that income and expenditure is completely separate from all of the other payment groups, and each payment group would be an individual statement. If you want to provide period statements for your landlords, you can do individually again. So in documents, we can send a period statement for a set period. If you want to do it in bulk, you can do it in the accounts tab. So we've got period statements here. And I would just choose the dates that I want to provide all my landlords for their period statements. So it might be end of tax year. You might want to do a period statement for end of tax year for all of your landlords. You would select the dates that you want to use. If I just select some dates in here quickly, and it will show you all of the landlords that have had income and had statements within that period. And I can click create statements. And that's just going to automatically send all of those landlords those period statements. So if we go back to the best process, so we've made our payments to our landlords, our suppliers, we might want to update our fees as well. So if we go into process agency fees, we can update our fees as well. And then once all those payments are made physically and those payments show on your bank account, what you'd be doing is you'd be coming into your bank reconciliation screen again, you'd click your view, and then you would reconcile those payments as well. So you'd say, yes, that payment is showing on my bank account, that payment is showing on my bank account. And then you know that the receipts that you've added into Alto are correct, and then the payments that have been made out of Alto have been made as well. So your client account balance will be the same. When it comes to the beginning of the day, so the receipting, we have the option to import receipts. So what this allows you to do is it allows you to upload your bank statement into Alto and then teach Alto to recognize the payment references for the individual tenancies. So if I click into this client account and I upload a file, what this allows me to do is it allows me to upload a file that I've downloaded. We'll just do that one. And this will also warn me if there's duplicates in there. So if I've uploaded one halfway through the day and then at the end of the day, it will warn you that you're uploading duplicates, or if I've uploaded a file I've already uploaded by accident. So you would be importing all except duplicates effectively. I'll import all because I've imported this one a few times. So what you'll see is we've got unmatched payments. So to begin with, everything will be unmatched, but Alto will try and match those payments to any outstanding charges that you have on the system. So you can see here 80% match for Joe Blogs, and this is the reference that came in on the receipt. So Alto's picked up that the reference is Joe Blogs, and there's an outstanding charge for Joe Blogs. I wish I'd chosen a better name, but what I can say is yes, that's the correct receipt for that tenancy. So to teach Alto for in the future, if that reference comes in, automatically match it to that tenancy. What I can do is I can click the little pin up here. I can select the reference that the tenant has paid with, and I can say I want to pin that to the tenancy. You do have the option of individual charges as well, but generally speaking, it's going to be the tenancy. And then if I pin that reference, what that means is next month when Joe pays his rent, if that charge is outstanding, Alto will just automatically pop it up into this matched payments area. And then I can import those receipts. And all of this is logged on the timeline. So you have a full timeline history of those receipts that you've imported. And it also shows all of the ones that you didn't import as well. So if you have a holding deposit, for example, that you need to go to the individual tenancy and receipt in, it would show that as a receipt that wasn't imported.
Hi, Phil, can I just jump in there? We've just had a question from, there's a couple of questions on the import receipts actually, if you've got the time to sort of share. We've got Lindsay that's asked, can you upload statements from any banks? She uses Metro Bank.
Metro Bank is supported, I believe. We do have the file type for most of the major banks and a lot of the smaller ones as well. But if you need to check, then it's worth popping a ticket over to support, and they'll check the file format for you to make sure that you can do it. But generally speaking, we support most of the banks. Yeah.
And we'll get Lisa to drop the support link into the chat. The other one is Alison was sorry, but she was unsure on import receipts. Is this needed to be done every day, monthly, as she's never done this before?
Okay, so it would be your receipting cycle. So if you're coming in the morning and you're doing your manual receipts every morning, then you would do this instead of doing that manual receipting that you're doing. If you're receipting once a week, for example, for the full week, then you would just do it the same as you would do your manual receipting.
Yeah. Thank you.
That's okay. So yeah, import receipts, it's a massive time saver, especially if you have an awful lot of receipts coming in during the month, because once you've taught Alto the payment references, and it knows to allocate that money to the specific tenancies, it's just a case of clicking a couple of buttons to do your receipting in the morning. Again, once you've done that, you would go to your bank rec and you would reconcile those receipts to make sure they're correct. It does only match to outstanding charges. So again, on your tenancies, I get asked quite a lot about this. If I go to a charge on a tenancy, I'm sure you're all familiar with this charge screen where you add your tenancy charges. But if I click into edit, we do have some options on the charges that you add. So if I click into here, I can tick to never show in arrears. So if I'm adding historical arrears, or if I don't want them to show in that arrears screen to not chase, then I can tick that. If I have tenants that always pay sort of 10 days late and you're happy with that and it's an agreement that you've made with them, what you can do is you can pop 10 in there, so that won't show in the arrears until 10 days after that charge date is due. If you want Alto to email your tenants the invoice every time that charge raises, you can tick that box and it will automatically do that when it raises overnight. The payment method is for your reference. Payment reference, again, that's going to be for the import receipts. If you've pinned that reference to an individual charge, it would show in there. And then raise days in advance. So if you have tenants that pay early, and there's no charge there to receipt against because they've paid a few days early, and you know they're going to pay early, then you can choose to raise this charge 7 days in advance, 5 days in advance, depending on how many days you want to raise it early. It won't show in arrears until the charge is actually due. It would just allow you to receipt that money in against the raised charge. So some charge options there. And then something I get asked quite often is the ledgers on the system and how to kind of understand them and the different colors and things. So if I go to a property ledger and I go to the transactions, what we'll see here is we've got it defaults to the all accounts view. Okay, so there's two different types of ledgers on each of the records. So we have an all accounts view and we have a ledger view. And the difference between that is the all accounts view is cash transactions that have happened. So if we look at the all accounts view on the right hand side, we can see that these are all cash transactions. So we've got landlord payments, receipts, agency payments, supplier payments, and that sort of thing. And we can see the cash balance. So looking at all accounts, we've got a cash balance of 0. But if I change that to ledger, so what this shows is it shows all of the individual transactions, regardless of whether they're a cash transaction or not. And what I mean by that is we can see that the ledger balance is a negative 50 pounds. And that's because we've got this cleaning charge added. So this cleaning charge has been added, but it hasn't been paid. So it's part of the ledger balance. And if we want some more information on this cleaning charge, what we can do is we can click onto that, and it gives us quite a bit of information on this screen as well. So we can see the supplier it's due to, the transaction ID, the supplier invoice reference number, the works order number that it's connected to. And if there was a supplier invoice uploaded to the charge, so a PDF uploaded to the charge, we'd also have a link to view that PDF from here. So you can get quite a lot of information from the transactions themselves, and that's the difference between the all accounts and the ledger. If I go to a tenancy transaction screen, What we'll see here is we've got pink transactions and we've got white transactions. So the pink transactions are tenancy transactions, and you can see that because there's a double silhouette on there and it's a pink transaction. We've got a white transaction with no silhouette. So what that tells me is that's a held money transaction. And if I click into that receipt, what we can see is we can see that it's a held money transaction into held monies, and then that's the transfer. So we've used that held money against the tenancy charge. Now, if you have charges raised at contact level rather than tenancy level, what you'll see is you'll see a white transaction again, but you'll have a single silhouette, and that means it's related to a single person rather than the tenancy. Property transactions are blue, generally speaking, so commission transactions are blue. And then we've got pink transactions for tenancies. And I think that's about all I wanted to cover, Madeline. Was there anything else you wanted me to go through?
Yeah, well, while we've got you, is there any sort of reports that you would recommend or best practice reports to run for
Yeah,
accounts?
there is. Yeah, I was supposed to go through that, wasn't I? So
That's fine.
yes, so obviously Alto, we have a full bank of property management financial reports. They're all in here in the classics reports. So we are looking at getting accounts reports in analytics. So do keep your eyes out on the analytics functionality, because obviously with the compliance dashboard and the property management dashboard, there's a huge amount of functionality that you can't get within the classic reports. So when that accounts report comes out, definitely take a look. So yeah, there's definitely some financial reports that I'd recommend. So we have the client bank balances report. Now this is a live report, so you can't generate it historically. And this report will give you a full breakdown of each of your individual balances within your client accounts. So it'll show you contacts, held money, your tenancy deposits, all of the individual balances within your accounts. It will break it down and give you a report on that. And because this is a live report, I would highly recommend scheduling this to email you to either daily or weekly, depending on how often you want it, and then just file it away somewhere so that you have that historical record of the individual balances within your system. With regards your fees, so there's a couple of fee reports that you can generate. So we've got the invoice fee analysis, and that's going to show you all of the fees that you've invoiced for, regardless of whether you've received that money or not. So there's a difference between the two reports that I'm going to show you. So invoiced fee analysis is the fees that you've invoiced for, and then you've got your processed fee analysis, and that's going to be the fees that you've paid yourself. So that's the difference between those two reports. Now, if you're using Xero or QuickBooks or Sage for your business accounting, you can set up Alto to generate a report for your fees that you can then import into your accounting software. So you would go in, you would set up Alto to put the right nominal codes in for each of the individual fees, and then you're able to use the fee export reports as well. So we've got the two reports again, but that's in the export that you can then upload into your business software. So again, another time-saving issue that you could save just by setting up Alto to do that. And if you go into the Help Center and type in "Making Tax Digital" in the search bar, you'll see a guide article for that report. And then if we go for the charges to raise report, so that is going to show you all of the charges on your system that you have set up to raise. So if you're looking to have an audit and you just want to check that all of the charges that are raising in the future are going to be correct, it's a really good report to run. And it will also give you the management percentage commission that you have set on those tenancies. So if you're double checking that your tenancy charges are set up correct and your management percentages are set up correct, then the charges to raise report is the best one to have a look at. All right.
Yeah, thank you very much.
That's all right.
I'm going to take over from your screen. So people should be able to see my screen in a minute. Yeah, that was my screen. My screen's back up again. I'm just highlighting a couple of bits where Phil, thank you very much for that demo, Phil. That was
No
brilliant.
problems.
And we've got some questions that have come in, which Lisa's been in the background answering them. So hopefully they've all been resolved. Just a couple of bits to highlight about some of these bits that might be important for your agency. So obviously you've got a consistent daily workflow, so you can keep your accounts up to date, sort of preventing any sort of tasks from piling up and helping you to build reliable habits. We've also got with your reporting side of it that Phil's just shown us. It obviously helps you to quick to spot any account statuses and performances, and it obviously reduces the need to search for some specific datas. And then as I said, just highlighting a couple of bits here. So your automation in import receipts, which seemed to be a very popular subject, Phil, when you were demoing it as well. A lot of people were asking about it. Obviously, it's letting Alto handle the receipts with the ability to upload your receipts from your client account, allowing you to focus more on other things throughout the day. And then, I mean, that's pretty much the end of it, but I'm just going to highlight, as we normally do every single time we do the bite size, our partner of the month. So this month we're just looking at HomeLet, which is more for your sort of referencing as well. So it's intelligent referencing, trusted market with a trusted market leading solution. You get reduced risk if you're using them. They're one of our partners, so you can stay compliant and minimize less loss. Sorry. And then obviously earning commission. So you can earn commission for these as well when you sort of have for every property that you have the tenancy referencing on. Okay, I'm just waiting for that other one to come in. There we go. And you can register your interest. You can either drop a interested down in the chat, say that or home, put the word homelet or yes. But you can also go into your Alto database under the integrations. I think it actually says partners now. And then you can go in there and find it in there. Obviously, Q and I think Lisa's done a really amazing job of how all the questions. If there is anything we haven't responded to, I'm just going to have a quick look at the chat box just to see if there's anything while we've got you, Phil. Mainly about recordings, but Lisa has actually been working very, very hard in the background, and it looks like she's answered all of the questions that have come in. But if there is anything, obviously we'll reach out to you after the webinar. Okay. And then finally, obviously, as you know, you've got Alto skills. I saw Lisa did mention something about pathways in there. One thing I just want to highlight about Alto skills now is you can find it within your Alto database as a single sign-on. So when you go up to your help section at the top of your home screen, and then you've got Help Center, and under that you've got Alto skills. So there's no separate platform that you need to go on. You can actually access this within your database now as well. So it's much easier for you. You've also got your Help Center. And of course, we've got the range of our elite training options as well. And you've also got the QR code, which you can scan, which will take you through to the booking system of these. And then finally, as we always do, it's competition time. So we really value the feedback on our bite-sized webinars. And as you know, you've got the QR code there, which you can scan, which will allow you to leave the feedback on our feedback form. We will be announcing a winner for this on our November bite size. So we always leave it a couple of months. And what you're able to win is a elite training session, which is worth £264 for you and your team or your agency, which is 2 hours of a dedicated session for anything that you need, whether it be an accounts thing. So if you kind of from the end of this, you thought, oh, I really need an account session, you have the opportunity to enter just by leaving your feedback. And then we do what we call the spin the wheel at the end of November on our November bite size. We will be back again at the end of October with an exciting new thing that we will be showing. I'm not going to give too much away, but we will be back. And obviously, as usual, the invites will be coming out through October for you to join. I think that's about everything. But as per usual, thank you everybody for joining. Hopefully it's been insightful for you. And we did get quite a few questions and quite a lot of interest in import receipts as well, which I think people didn't realise is something that could be used. And that's it from me. But thank you, Phil. Thank you,
No
Lisa.
problems.
And I hope you all enjoy the rest of your day. We will see you next month.
Have a good day, everyone.
Thank you.